been playing baseball, and a tornado had come roaring across the outfield. They'd had to hide in the dugout, clinging to the underside of the bench to keep from being sucked into the funnel. But his favorite stories were about the nights he and his family had spent cowering in their snug, lantern-lit storm cellar as the world outside had torn itself apart in the frenzy of a prairie thunderstorm. At some point his mother would raise a finger for silence, and they'd hear amid the roar of the wind and the crashes and bangs of thunder a sinister new sound, a deep throbbing and a high-pitched shriek, like an airplane engine revving up. And that, my father would conclude with satisfaction, was the tornado. I was spellbound by these stories, but I was also baffled by them. I never got that clear an idea of what a tornado really was. We lived then in northern Illinois, a place that was supposedly tornado-heavy, but I had only seen one unmistakable tornado in my life, and that was in The Wizard of Oz. Few sights in any movie, or for that matter in the real world, have ever scared me as deeply as that. My father had no patience for it, though. He passed through the living room as my mother and brother and I were staring at the television screen in rapt horror, and he lingered only long enough to emit a snort of contempt. "Nah, that's no tornado," he said. "You should see a real tornado." Each spring, the science class at my elementary school would spend a day on the subject of tornadoes. The teacher would show us a film strip that had a lot of cartoon images of spiral-shaped clouds looming over prairie farmhouses. There were also photographs of crew-cut men with white shirts, black ties, and horned-rimmed glasses, clustered in muddy fields around weather balloons. But only a few of the images were of actual tornadoes. In those days, the 1960s, a clear photograph of a tornado was as rare as one of a flying saucer. The film strip's narrator instructed us solemnly on the rules of tornado safety. There was one infallible warning sign that a tornado was coming, he said. The clouds took on a greenish glow. Tornadoes also caused an electrical disturbance that could be picked up by some TV sets, so if your TV screen grew mysteriously brighter during a storm, that was a clear signal a tornado was somewhere nearby. Then he explained why tornadoes were so destructive. There was a near vacuum at the heart of the funnel, so when it passed overhead, the air pressure trapped inside your house burst outward like an explosion. The most sensible precaution you could take, therefore, was to open your windows to equalize the air pressure. After you did so, only then should you take shelter, and the one safe place to hide was the southwest corner of the basement. The viewing of this film strip turned me into a kind of amateur tornado warden. Whenever there was a storm, I kept my eyes peeled for the warning signs. But where were they? Spring after spring, tornado season after tornado season, I never saw a hint of a green glow in the sky. The closest I came to a tornado was one sultry April afternoon when I was 12. A severe storm came through the Chicago suburbs, and a tornado touched down several miles away. The next day, the newspapers ran an amateur photograph. It showed a blurry smear of buildings and streetlights, while against the horizon stood an indistinct gray cone of smoke towering up to the sky like a supervillain menacing a cartoon city. I tore it out of the paper and tacked it up on my bedroom wall, as though it were a wanted poster. I did reports for school on tornadoes. I had all the key tornado facts memorized, so I could talk about wind speeds and air pressure with the least provocation. One afternoon in late spring when I was 12, a storm built up in the west, and the sky around it turned a weird, sickly yellow. My teacher, who knew about my obsession, pretty much everybody in the school did, asked me seriously whether that color sky meant a tornado was coming. I said authoritatively that yellow skies meant hail, green was the color of tornadoes. It was the proudest moment of my life. I even had dreams about tornadoes. The dreams were all pretty much identical. They began with a feeling of horrible dread. I knew with absolute certainty that a tornado was